Welcome to The Good Life. Thanks for stopping by. I'm Patrick Harney. And as always, remember you can listen to this on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart Radio, Amazon Music. And if you're listening to this, then you can also watch this on YouTube. Please make sure you like and subscribe and comment, share, do all that fun stuff because it helps me out. Today, I have a buddy of mine, Dakota, who is a stuntman. And I've witnessed him do some pretty crazy stuff, like getting lit on fire. So yeah, he got lit on fire on purpose. But anyway, we'll get into that. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the conversation, and because I know I will. So let's get into it. All right, Dakota, welcome.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man.
So we've known each other for, I don't know what, 5 years?
4 or 5 years. Yeah.
4 or 5 years now. And I know that you are a stuntman.
Yes, I know, right? Kind of crazy.
Like you run into danger. You dive out of buildings into the face of fear. How did you get started in all that stuff, dude?
Man, I think the real starting point, if I have to look back on it, is 3 things that I can think of off the top of my head. And it's starting with dancing when I was just a young kid, like age 7 and 8. Definitely watching WWE wrestling and doing everything that they told you not to do. There's so many commercials of don't try this at home. And my brother and I were like, sweet, choke slam me. And then the third one's just action movies, from general. I always go back to Rush Hour and just remembering Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan's the godfather when it comes to action movies, right?
Dude, Jackie Chan's insane.
Yeah, he's the man and serious inspiration. So I think it just, the mindset already kind of planted seeds in me right away as a kid.
Dude, yeah, I have so much respect for stunt performers, and because, you guys are the ones that make us look good.
Right.
You make us look cool, and when really we're not that cool.
No, man, it's not the case at all. I mean, I think stunt work is it's just another form of expression. Seriously, acting, doing a song, a solo, doing dialogue, doing a monologue, doing a fight scene. It's all still conveying a message. And with stunts, some of the acting beats are the struggles in the fight and what this character is feeling. And when that translates through screen, that's what makes a good fight. It's not just the moves and a minute of just super fast, ninja choreo. Yeah, that's cool and that's the draw. But what keeps people in is oh man, the main character's losing. Oh geez, and then kind of from Endgame when Cat catches that hammer, that's the point that brings it back, and that's what gets everyone so excited into the film or the TV series, whatever we're performing for.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing too, is I think a lot of people don't understand that you have to be a good actor as a stunt performer, because you have to sell the emotion of the fight. You have to sell everything to the camera physically. I mean, it's the most physical form of acting that there is. And yeah, man. So I do. I'm always in awe when I see a really cool stunt, because I don't know, but I have an idea of what goes into that.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat still, man. I still see a bunch of things that other people do, and I'm like, gosh, that's why I wanted to do this in the first place, because I want to be the person to do that eventually,
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the company Corridor Crew or Corridor Digital?
Man, unfortunately, I don't know if I have actually.
So on YouTube, they're a company that's like a VFX company, right?
Okay.
And they have a big YouTube channel, and they make a bunch of VFX, and they kind of, they don't teach people how to do it, but they kind of show them what really goes into it and everything. But they have a series called VFX Artists React, and they react to really good and really bad CGI. But they also have a Stuntman React series where they bring in stunt performers and they sit there and they react to different stunts of different scenes, and they go through how that, how they were able to do that, and if that was, if that was a dummy, or if it was a actual, stunt guy, or are they on wires, are they sliding on a board or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think you would really like it, because it's, I mean they have the guy, his name is Guy De Silva. He doubled Black Panther, and he also doubled, I think it was just Black Panther, and then they brought in a guy who doubled Black Panther after Guy, and then also did Falcon for Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Oh shoot. Okay.
They've brought in the stunt woman that did Black Widow, Scarlet Witch. I mean, like, it's just like it's really cool to hear their perspective of, oh, this is a great stunt, or this is there's no way that was real,
Definitely. Yeah, you have to like set yourself in a mood for hearing that kind of stuff, because like when you watch like a movie or a TV series of like anybody, like your significant other or a friend or family member, and like you're slightly in the entertainment business, you don't want to come off as like that prick who's like ruining it. Like you see it in like, it's like someone's favorite movie, right? And, like it's like The Dark Knight, and you're like, oh yeah, no, he really didn't really act that well in that scene. And it's like, dude, shut up. He's Batman. Like, that's all I want to see.
Like, he has the voice. He's Batman. That's all
right. Right. And it's the same like with a fight scene. I don't claim to be this like just guru of fighting or something like that, but I'll see a fight scene in a movie, even like a movie I really dig or like, and I'm like, oh wow, that punch didn't actually read for camera. And I remember as a kid thinking like that was my favorite punch.
Yeah, like, I'm so disappointed now.
Yeah. So I think when you set yourself in a mood to hear people talk like that, it's super cool, because it is actually very insightful, and you can look into something, and I don't know, that stuff really draws people to it. It draws me to it. So I definitely need to look at that series. That sounds really cool, actually.
Yeah, dude, they have okay, correct, don't quote me on this, but I want to say they have like 30 different videos or 32 different videos of that series at this point.
All right.
So there's a lot of cool stuff, and they do go over a lot of Jackie Chan stuff.
Yeah.
Donnie Yen, and a lot of like mixed martial arts type stuff, and kung fu movies and all that stuff as well. But then they also go through a lot of modern day. They also go through a lot of Bollywood movies as well.
Oh yeah.
And seeing some of the absolutely obnoxious action that goes on in those movies, that is like the suspension of belief is like, it's, you have to basically look at those movies and say, okay, well, this is a fantasy world. This isn't even on Earth, because you are floating and defying gravity like no one ever should.
Yep. Yeah. It's a acquired taste, but if you know what you're getting into and you give it a chance, like it's bound to be fun. A lot of things really are, to be honest. Like,
well, look at the Fast and Furious movies now.
Dude, I can gush way too long on those things, man, because they have evolved so much and they're so crazy. But there's and it's almost a joke now, but there's that common through line of like, oh, family, you're not family, whatever. But the actual like storyline in those movies, if you pay attention, is not bad.
No, it's not.
It's really not. And the stunts just get crazier and crazier. So all I'm looking forward to is people still buying those. And then I want to get on like Fast and Furious 12. I want to be in space with Vin Diesel flying rocket ships. Like,
can you imagine Vin Diesel in space?
Right.
Well, and it's funny, what's funny to me about those films is the fact that they started off as just like common street racers, and now they're like special forces, Green Beret, like doing crazy military type stuff. And and the fact that like they can drive on a frozen lake in this massive military truck, and The Rock can skate on his boots holding onto the door and push a torpedo with one hand out
with just his arm. Like I love in the seventh one when he has the cast on, like dude has like a broken, messed up arm, and now that it's healed, he just breaks it. He's just like, all right, daddy's got to go to work. And it's like, that is so cool, dumb, but so cool.
And when they're filming that, like, they're like, all right, daddy's got to go to work, and cut. Man, that was bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yikes. That's really gonna sell. Okay.
Yeah, keep it though. Keep it.
Yeah. Okay, so we met. I've known of you because I had friends growing up that were in the same dance studio that you were at. And I remember going to see one of your guys's concerts.
Yeah, it depends on which one. Competition, recitals, yeah.
Yeah. And I remember seeing you like I was blown away because you were like the only guy there, and we're just like doing all of these insane flips all over the stage, and I was like, that's like what
Yeah.
this is crazy. The amount of bounce that you had blew my mind. You were so light on your feet.
Oh, thanks,
and so I had always known of you,
right?
And then the Scapegoat came around, and you were playing the killer, and you were doing all of our stunt work, and we had it took us 11 hours to film, but we did it in one day.
We did, which is actually crazy.
Yeah. And I remember coming up to you, and we started learning all of the fight choreography, because I was super interested in all that, and you started teaching me all the fight choreography. But you didn't just say, okay, you're going to do this move, all right, and then we're going to do this move. Like, you showed me everything, and you showed me why that's the move that we're doing, and where the camera is going to need to be for that to work. Like, you were so knowledgeable about it. And I had really no idea that you had done a lot of stunt work at that point. I thought like you were just coming in because you could do some crazy flips and it would look cool. But we did some really, really insane stuff. And I remember Jeff Cap, because I remember I saw the crash pad.
Yeah.
Granted, we're out in the middle of the woods, right?
Right.
And it is in the dead of summer. I mean, it is blazing hot, and we're wearing jeans, like denim jeans. At least we are. And you're wearing this like helmet and like face mask thing that looked like Bane. And I remember seeing the crash pad, and it was maybe an inch thick.
It's not really a crash pad. It was just like a dance mat that we had at the studio that could like, protect you from like doing a back handspring wrong, but it's nowhere near like what you will see on a bigger set where it's like 6 inches of super soft foam or something. This one was just like, well, you're not hitting dirt and rocks, so suck it up.
Well, I remember looking at Jeff, and I was like, is this gonna work? And he goes, well, we asked if we needed to get a bigger one. And he said that this should work, and I remember looking at you, and I said, so this is good, right? And you're like, yeah, it should be. And you walked around, and I was like, oh, okay. And dude, and some of the stunts, man, that we did, like you did a flying knee, and I had to catch you in midair, and body slam you to the ground.
Yep.
That was my favorite one out of all of them.
That was the one that proved to me that mat wasn't really that good, because I remember just like if people don't know, like you're a tall man, so I was like, all right, I know I'm like the big bad killer in this one, but like if you just look at it, Patrick's bigger than me, right? He's the stronger guy in the fight. So I was like, screw it, like let me just go give this dude a super cool running knee for the sake of trying to be cool. And you were a cop, like you have training in the film, so I was like, sweet, he's just gonna catch me and just body slam me. And once I landed that knee, I was like, man, I'm like 10 feet in the air right now. What the hell? And you just come down and slam me on that mat. And definitely like had to just let out my air. And it like still knocked the wind out of me. And it was like, all right, is that good? I'm like, yeah, we're good.
Well, and what's funny is you had tried to teach me how to fall properly.
Yeah.
Because that's important. You don't just flail. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you have to be very particular on how you land. But because I had all these other things that I was focusing on, that like within a few takes, all of that technique I had completely lost. Like, and so I remember by the end of it, I had like a massive like concussion, I think, at the end of the day, because I remember, because Jeff just kept doing take after take after take. I'm like, bro, I'm dead, man. Like this guy's used to it. I'm not used to this. And but I loved it at the same time because like I've always wanted to do a lot of my own stunts if I can.
Mhm.
And I remember but I remember the first one that we did was when you swung off the tree as we're running by and you have to kick us,
Yep.
right? And I remember I tried it the first time and I couldn't really get a good fall to show for camera. And all you did was you gave me one little tweak. You said just turn your shoulders as if I just kicked you and I'm making you spin.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, but I'm not going to be able to spin. And you're like, nope, it doesn't matter. Because by the time you fall out of frame, it'll work. Trust me.
Yeah.
We tried it and dude, it looked so good. So thank you for that.
Oh, of course, man. Of course. There's, you know, I really threw you guys into the fire with that one, like seriously, because I remember submitting my stuff to Jeff, and then he was like, yeah, like you and I were gonna go work on and Noah too. He was like, we're just gonna like build the fight choreography together. Like, so I'm like already beating up the director and like director of photography before I even touch the actors. So this is a fun production, guys. And beating them up, like we came up with the full choreography, and that even took like a couple hours. I even then too, I was even, less experienced than I am now. So I had a lot to learn as well then. And yeah, we get it done and I'm like, sweet. All right, now I gotta go beat up actors. Like, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just like, you have to understand when you're working with someone who just doesn't have as much training as you, that you have to gauge yourself properly.
Yeah.
And I hope I did that with you guys, man, because I know I was just railing on you, but
no, dude, you were great. And I will say I felt bad for you because like so Mason Hydra, his character doesn't really get a good hit in at all in that fight scene. I mean, he just gets leveled.
Yeah.
But my character did get
Yeah.
we did get hits, or I did get, I was able to land some shots and I was able to, get at you. But there was a couple times where like I was really going at it and I just decked you. And I felt so bad. I was after he yelled cut. I'm like, dude, are you okay? And you're like, yeah, man, I'm good. I'm good. And I'm like, there's no way you're okay. Like, this is like take 8, and I've hit you 6 of those times. Like, but was it me, or was it who was it that caught you in the face? Was it me?
Oh shoot, I don't remember. I think it was either you or Mason, because I didn't really have like much trade with anybody else. Like even like Heath, like yeah, he like jumped on me and I threw him off, and I mean that's pretty much it. But yeah, it was either you or Mason. But the thing is, man, is like I had so much like I was actually barely even wearing pads. I think I only wore like knee pads under that thing. Like,
yeah, you were.
I should have had a lot more, but
you were going balls to the wall, man.
Yeah, but just having the mask and having like the vest and stuff like that already adds like just that much more protection. Like, the more time added to actually like feeling a hit, all that time is valuable, because that's what makes it softer.
Yeah.
So I mean, it happened. I got hit a couple of times, but like it never ticked me off. I was never like, all right, I'm not working with these guys. I was already sitting there like, dude, these gentlemen are sweating all like everything out, working super hard. I'm making them do stuff that like maybe they've never done before. I mean, shoot, I give you the Black Widow like head scissors takedown in the film.
Dude. Oh, okay. Let me just explain this to everybody. I'm sorry.
Right, go for it.
So the move was you had me in like this like kind of half done armbar.
Yep.
And you used that as leverage to swing your legs up around my neck so that your feet were behind my head.
Yeah.
And you swung your body from the right side of me over to the left, and then using your legs, slam me down to the ground on my face.
Yeah, which is like probably the move that gave you the concussion.
And Jeff wanted to do that like 12 times.
Oh man, so many.
I was at like take 8, and I looked at him and he said, all right, reset. I looked at him, and I've never gotten snippy on a set ever.
No.
But I looked at him and I said, you better get your shot, because I have 2 left.
Yeah.
Because I can't see straight. And I remember after every time you would come up to me and be like, "Hey man, you good?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good, man. Yeah, dude, I'm fine.
Yeah, right.
Fine." And then like you'd walk away and I'm like, "Oh my gosh." Like, like I'm gonna die.
Yeah, man. It's crazy, man. But
I would
it's
do
just
it
I
all
can't.
again though.
Yeah.
I would
Oh,
do it
I'm
all
glad,
again.
man. I would too. Like, and even look at it now, like I'm actually still very proud of it. I
Yeah,
really am.
you should be.
But whenever you look at your work in any time of your life, you're like, oh, that could have been better. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I could have done something different there. And so there's always that, and I have a little bit of that with the fight, especially since my work with camera has like progressed, not substantially, but at least a noticeable amount.
Mm-hmm.
I think like my biggest thing was like I didn't know like where to tell them to like get the exact right shot. Like I got something that would read, and so it's like, oh, that guy got hit, but it might not have been like as emphatic as if we added this like jerk here, or this swipe here.
Mm.
So yeah, and that stuff all comes with time and comes with more training.
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure, man. And also, I remember talking with you because you had said before that you kind of threw us into the fire.
Yeah.
You had told me before we started filming that day that the week prior, you had been lit on fire.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
You had been lit on fire for a film, and
Mhm.
you showed me the video,
Yeah,
and it was insane. I was terrified for your life.
yeah. It was for just like this student film, man, and I don't know. We wanted to set it apart from everything else, so the entire tone of it was crazy and
Yeah.
just very different. But like, you know, I think the biggest goal of it was going to at least capture the audience, whether or not they liked it, disliked it, or anything else. At least it was going to get their attention.
Yeah.
I would rather win like a Raspberry Award over an Oscar than not win anything. You know what I mean? Like that's what
Yeah.
it seemed like. So for this one, we were like, shoot, man. I was like, I was lit on fire back in stunt school in 2015. Like I'm no expert, but I kind of know how to do it. And then one of my instructors from LCC was like, well, shoot, dude, I got the materials and I've done it. And I was on his douse team plenty of times. So
Mm.
like, I know how to get out of it if it went wrong. Right. You
Yeah.
know? So yeah, we just decided to go with it and it worked out beautifully. Like I love that I was able to do another fire stunt outside of stunt school. Cause you want that footage and you want that experience because I still want to be able to do that. If someone comes up to me and is like, hey, we're doing this film, we're doing a fire stunt. We don't know many people in the area who can, but we've heard you've done it. I want to still be comfortable enough to be like, yeah, like I'm your guy,
Yeah. So for those who don't know, I know a little bit of it because I've seen a few things on it, but can you explain to people, because most people's first thought is when you get lit on fire, it's really hot,
Yeah.
right? But correct me if I'm wrong, but you're wearing this jelly, and isn't it and
Pretty much.
don't you get really cold? Isn't it kind of cold?
Oh, it's so cold. Like, because you have to basically strip down and then put it on. So you put on this like tight no-mix gear, which is stuff that like firefighters help use, right? It's fire retardant,
Okay.
and yeah. So you just soak that in this. I don't even exactly know the right like chemicals to be honest with you, but it just thickens water basically, and it turns into this very, very, very frigid gel, and the whole clothes are just soaked in that. So imagine like you're pretty much naked, and then you jump in like a freezing pool. Like that's the feeling really. So you put
Wow.
all that on, and then you're just chilling there, right, with it like soaking on your skin. Now you start putting on extra protection. You start putting on extra towels, extra like layers of clothing. You want to have the right clothing on. So now you have all this like cold like sealed into you, and you have to put the gel everywhere, man, because you don't want to get burned anywhere. So you got to put it up your nose, you got to put it in your ears, and it like I describe it like this: it kind of creates this illusion of like you feel kind of like you're underwater, like with it like just completely
Really?
covering your ears and like your nose, like it. Yeah, it feels like you're just like chilling underwater doing like a holding your breath contest. And the second they like finally actually like put the fuel on you and light you up, you don't even feel it. You just see it. And it's like,
That's
oh,
wild.
like It is. And you will start to feel it eventually. Don't get me wrong. You're not just like, you're cool and you're strapped in for a minute and you're fine. That is not the case. But those like first few seconds, you really don't feel it. And if you don't like move your neck properly or you move your arms properly, then you'll start feeling the buildup. I know my first one, I felt the buildup on my neck just because I just wasn't moving my head around quite as much. And I think I went down after like 10 seconds of being on fire. And yeah, I remember like, it's almost like I had a sunburn, on the back of my neck. So it wasn't anything crazy, and it will get to you eventually. You gotta respect the fire, but yeah, you can kind of look fear in the eye just a little bit.
Yeah. So does it like dissolve or not dissolve? Does it um basically melt and obliterate that gel? That jelly?
Yeah, like I would say like halfway, if that makes any sense, because
Okay.
it does a little bit, but you're gonna have it still left on you, right? Like especially the parts that don't burn. The burns that I've done have been full, like upper back and arms. That hasn't even been like lower body yet. So yeah, like whenever I was done, I still had this crap kind of all over me, right? So I know at stunt school we had showers just set up like 10 feet away from the stunt, so the next person would go up. We'd have a few of the other students be like on the douse team. Person would be on fire, and the whole time they're on fire, like I'm like rinsing off in the shower. So yeah,
just casual,
Yep. So I've had to shower after both because there's still a lot of like material left on you.
Yeah. Now, because I have seen before, and I don't understand how this works. I've seen clips of guys who have been lit on fire, like in a film or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and when they're running, it's like they're screaming and their mouth's open.
Yeah.
How does that not? Because it's not like you can put the jelly in your mouth.
Right.
So how does it not start burning your mouth out?
Man, to be honest with you, because I haven't done that level of a burn, I don't know if I actually know the answer to this.
Okay.
So, someone could watch this and be like, he's wrong. But, I know when I did my second fire stunt, I ran towards the wind. So the wind was actually blowing the flames back, which helped a lot. I didn't feel any buildup really like in my like armpit area, which is a common one, or my neck or anything like that. So for that particular burn, I felt like I could have went a lot longer. Now I had a mark to end at, so I don't run off freaking set on fire, So, but I like still ran to the mark and went down. Cool beans, we got the shot. So I think when people do that type of burn, if they, like if you kind of get some speed, like you're gonna kind of get that fire to like draft back a little bit, and that might help. But I know having your mouth open is tricky because you're really not supposed to breathe that stuff in. It is not good for you. Like, so if you don't breathe it in, you can't really scream. So the screams are usually added in after the fact.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so it's kind of just like dubbing it over. So yeah, man, I don't know if the gel itself is actually too unsafe to not have in your mouth, but I can't imagine they like coat it neither,
Yeah. Man, that's interesting, dude. Now, have you ever had, because you said that you know what to do if that stunt goes wrong. So what does that look like? What would if, what would it look like if it was going wrong, and then how would you get out of that?
Yeah, so there's multiple fail safes, because I think that's the thing is like, if you do a high fall, boom, you got the airbag. If for some reason you land wrong on the airbag, that's it. There's no other fail safe. It's just like, well, crap, now you got a broken leg. Like, it is what it is. And with the fire specifically, like the first one I always went to, which I think other people might do this a different way. So it's not wrong. It's just the way you prefer to do it. But fire extinguisher, that's the easiest, most effective way to get it out. If it's not fully out, even my stunt school burn, for example, they sprayed me, boom, they got it. And then immediately this like, one of my instructors, this big ass like gorilla of a man named Brandon, like comes over and he has this like shower head and just like, I'm already on the ground, and this dude somehow managed to still tackle me like 6 feet deeper into the ground. And he's like yelling at me because I need to hear through this gel in my ears, and he's yelling at me with the shower head. He's like, "It's anything hot, anything hot," and like I'm just like, I don't know, my left arm, I guess. And so then like just starts tearing shit and spraying, like getting as deep as possible in there with the water. And I know we had another guy with a fire blanket like chilling off to the side if the water wasn't going to be enough. We had another person with like 2 buckets of water. So you have all these different like rotations, and each person understands like when they're supposed to go, if this doesn't work, when someone else has to get out of the way.
Mm.
Yeah, and it's just as much like protection against the fire as you can. So fire stunts specifically, in my experience, have a lot of safeties just because it can very easily go wrong if you just don't treat it right, you know?
Yeah, dude, that I couldn't even imagine like the thoughts that go through your head if that stunt's going wrong. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, because that's oh, I mean, it's fire. You know,
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
it's not just like you know, it's not just like a twisted ankle. It is literally could burn your skin off.
Yeah, I like I said in stunt school, man. The second I felt like a little bit of buildup on my neck, in just heat, I was nothing even caught. I was like, I'm done, and just went down. And there's
Yeah,
no problem with that. Like, obviously, anyone would rather you live than
yeah,
get the right shot, And the thing is, if you feel good enough to go again, because maybe you did something wrong, which in that case, that's how I felt, then like, cool, now we can keep working on getting this shot because I know I can get it for you. But yeah, just it's fire, man.
yeah,
It's not going to have a 100% success rate.
yeah. Now, have you ever had any stunts go wrong?
Yeah, oh yeah, plenty of times. So far, luckily, nothing that has went wrong enough to where I've been injured or any of my partners have been like injured. But I've been hit probably about everywhere you can think of on the human body. I think one of the worst ones I did to somebody else is I hit my buddy David in the forehead just with a punch, just like cracked him, right? And it didn't even read for camera because at that point when it was a moving camera fight, I actually stacked him on the camera.
Oh
So not
no.
only did it not read, which is a no-no, I also hit the dude. Like that is the worst possible thing because at least sometimes when you hit somebody, it's like, crap, dude, I'm sorry, I'll buy you a beer after. But you look at the shot and you're like, well, hey, looks like I hit you,
Yeah, yeah.
So I've had a lot of those. I've had, and this wasn't ever like scary, but I know when I was working with Marvel Universe Live, I'd clip in, like to a carabiner in a line and someone hit a button and just, ratchet me out, pull me out. Sometimes that didn't go off.
Mm.
Sometimes I was too late, had to exit out and couldn't do the stunt, so it sucks because like Iron Man's supposed to come up and look super strong and punch me to oblivion. And then he punches me and I'm just like, ow, and
Just fall
have to
backward.
like jump back. So yeah, I've had plenty of things go wrong, but I've never had like a super serious one go wrong.
Yeah.
Especially like my high falls. Not that I'm a god at them. I'm not, and I haven't even done insanely high ones in a while. But fortunately, like I was just taught very well. And I was able to listen to the notes I was given and land those safely because I've seen one go wrong,
Yeah.
and that's not the prettiest sight.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, because you had just mentioned Marvel Universe Live,
Yeah.
um, so okay, explain to everybody what Marvel Universe Live is, if they
Yeah,
don't know, and how did you get involved?
for sure. So I had to always start the explanation like this because we'd always on the team we always shorten it to Marvel. We're like, yeah, we're with Marvel, and the second we say that, we're like, oh crap, we just put ourselves in like too big shoes to fill because now someone's like, they look at me and they're like, did you double like Tom Holland on the new Spider-Man movie? And I'm like, bro, I freaking wish, but no, that wasn't me. I don't mean I'm with the movies. I was just with the live show. So what Marvel Universe Live really is a live entertainment show that works through Feld Entertainment. Now, Feld Entertainment does like Monster Jam, and they do Disney on Ice, which is probably their biggest name one. Something they wanted to do different with Marvel Universe Live was really bring like a stunt show to life. And what bigger way to do that than the classic superheroes? I
Yeah.
mean, like Marvel especially, but like DC as well. They've found their cinematic pathways to really send out their media since about the 2010s, maybe even a little bit before that. I think once
Mhm.
the MCU started, it really is like revolutionary.
Yeah.
So thanks to them because they helped me get a job. But yeah, I first heard about it like when I was at stunt school. I started in 2015, and at the end of it, they were like, "Hey, to kind of test your guys' worth, we have an audition set up with Marvel Universe Live. It's like basically exclusive. It's just you guys, and if you want to try out for it, you can go and do it." And I figured, like, why not? The worst that's going to happen is they say no, and then I can ask them, be like, "Well, what exactly was it that I need working on?" And then they'll help. So it's a win-win, really, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I went to the first audition in 2015, man, and you know, stayed till the end, which is sweet. And then at the end of it, they're like, well, hey, we'll give anybody a call back if we need you, and thank you so much. And then right after that, they pulled my buddy Josh aside, and they were like, so you want to be Hawkeye? Like, and then he got in immediately. It was so cool. And like, I think that inspired me like a lot, because Josh was a great buddy of mine. I mean, shoot, he lived one door down, you know, but as the whole time I was at stunt school, and he's a great person. It's like, yeah, dude, I want to be with Josh again. I want to hang out with him. So anytime Marvel had an audition, I went for it. And I auditioned for this place like 3 times, and 2 of them were in Chicago. And I took a bus out, got a hotel for a night, and did the audition. And every time I made it to the end, you know, which is awesome. It's like, all right, cool. They see something that they like.
Yeah.
Maybe have a prospect for me, but I'm just not quite matching it. What is that, you know? So after every time, I'll email them and be like, hey, like, thank you guys for your time, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but as you can see, I'm very interested. So what can I do to get on this team? You know, because you guys remember me when I come in. I don't even have to sign in. I don't have to give you my stuff. You already know me. I would walk in and they'd be like, hey, like, welcome back, Dakota. Bring it on in.
Nice.
And yeah, and it's funny because they always said like it's a year callback kind of status, you know, and you don't want to like sit around waiting for that, right? You always want to do stuff, but like at least keep it in the back of your head. They didn't call me back after my 3rd audition for a year and a half. So after that 3rd one, and you know, that year passed, I was like, man, unfortunately, it might just not be the one for me. That's okay. I'll find something else, but it just might not be the one for me. And I pick up Six Flags in Maryland. I'm working a stunt show there, and I'm there for 2-3 months. I come home one quick weekend because I have the time, and all of a sudden I wake up to this email, and it's you know, it's like, hey, we want to talk. And I remember like jetting out of my room, and I'm like, Mom, no way, like no way. And she's freaking out. I'm freaking out. I can't even call them yet because I'm too excited to say anything like coherently. But I eventually reached back to him, and man, that's the start of my journey.
Dude, that's awesome, man. And so what role did you play in the show? What character were you in the show?
Yeah, so the one I was always like eyed for, but I'm a little bit too tall, is Spider-Man, right? You know, they were like, hey, like his flips, you know, he's a slender build guy. Boom, he's perfect. Except for he doesn't look like a teenage kid. He's just a little bit too tall for that. And then they were like, well, what about like Captain America? Maybe he has like the jawline. I don't know. And then they were like, nah, dude, he's too short. He's too shrimpy. He's not super big or anything. So when they finally cast Iron Fist in the show, and I wasn't even the first guy, you know, like they already had their team set up for the first year they had Iron Fist in the show. But the lead, his name's Omar, like great dude. He left, man. He's like, I'm gonna go start my stunt life in LA, and he's been doing great ever since. And they had an opening, and they were like, called me up and said, hey man, you might be this might be the role that you're finally like perfect for. So yeah, I did Iron Fist, and I love playing Iron Fist actually. You know, like Iron Fist kind of gets crap because like some people didn't like his TV show, and then it got canceled and stuff like that. But I like playing him because I would come out as like the surprise entrant in the show, and no one would care. So to me, it was like no one would care. Like, so to me, every show I legitimately had to like prove why I'm legit and why Iron Fist is legit.
That's awesome.
That was super fun for me because like, and I'm not trying to crap on our Black Panther and Spider-Man because they really were like some of the most amazing people on that team, people I just look up to. But like, it didn't matter if they sucked or not. Really, right? Because everyone's favorites is Spider-Man, and Black Panther has gained so much notoriety in the past few years. Like he's now top tier, you know? So these guys, and they were amazing, but they didn't have to be. You know, they could come out and be crappy, and everyone's still like just freaking out over them. But me, I'm like working my absolute hardest, and then you hear my mom in the crowd, and that's it. Like, so it was cool. Like when a scene ended and then I got some cheers, I was like, all right, like if one person can leave from this being like, I want to read about Iron Fist, you know, I did my job.
Dude, that's awesome, man. That is a really because it gives you it gives you an extra bit of drive to be like, okay, I'm gonna gonna create some fans tonight.
Yeah,
You know,
like
that's a cool thing.
Every show was fun, but every show was a challenge. You
Yeah.
know, and that's how I try to look at it. It's like every time I do something here, I gotta make it noteworthy. I want to make Iron Fist like someone's favorite character today.
Now, where all did you guys go? Because you guys, I mean, didn't correct me if I'm wrong, but you traveled like the world, right?
Yeah, and we had more to travel too until the shutdown happened. But hey, it happened for everybody. So what we did do, my first year was just all America. Still beautiful, fantastic. We really do have like just a beautiful country. It's huge. So when you go to all different places, you just see just different people, and sometimes you're like, man, like that person is just like me. That person's American, but they're so different, Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you name a state in America, man, and I've been there, which is crazy to think about. Like, I'm so thankful for that. And then second year was the big leagues. We were like, yeah, we're taking this bad boy around the world. So I went to Mexico City. I went to San Juan, Puerto Rico. I was in England for like 3 months. Went every city in there. We did Paris, France. I spent my 24th birthday in Paris.
Jeez,
we
nice.
were it was insane. We were in Canada. We were in oh gosh, I'm like even forgetting now because there's so many. Ireland, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and
Did
then
you guys go to like China or Japan or anything like that?
we were supposed to. We were really looking into China.
Because Marvel's huge over there.
Yeah, so we were very excited for that. Like we were like, dude, this is going to be some of our like best shows. Like they're going to absolutely love it. We were already told about the virus like spreading around while we were in England. Like, hey, like next year you're slated for China. If we can't go, they're like, no worries, we'll just do backup dates in like South America and Brazil and stuff. And I was like, oh, no worries, backup. It's like, all of this sounds amazing. And yeah, the last place we went to before it got ended was South Africa. So I was in like Pretoria, Johannesburg. I literally like walked with lions, like all this stuff I've just never dreamed of doing. And I'm looking at these places and I'm like, man, some of these places I may never be again.
Yeah.
I was so fortunate. So yeah, just very thankful for it. And we had more slated, but we were supposed to do Australia, supposed to have my family come see me in Sydney. Like we had this whole plan. Even before that, like actually the day the shutdown happened was the day before I was flying out to New Zealand. And like I was gonna do a vacation with some of my friends out there. And then we were gonna use like our tour basically to fly us and use the rest of the travel to Australia and back home, because then it's considered work travel.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had a lot of plans. It didn't happen, man, but that's okay. You just got to keep moving forward.
Yeah, dude. I mean, well, okay. Like, do you guys have more shows lined up now, or are you guys going to resume, or are you just is it kind of taking a hiatus and you're going to be doing other stuff? I mean, what do you have going on next?
So they the company itself let go a lot, and that means everybody on my team, everybody who was my superior, who I reported to. I don't think there's a person in that company to this day, besides literally maybe like Ken Feld, like the man who I've met, that's still there.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was a pretty big loss that they took, but yeah, I don't know. I'm always looking forward to it. If they come back, I want to be in. And I don't know if they're gonna try to bring some of the returners back, or if they're just gonna completely re-audition. But either way, like I'm gonna try to be in. I loved it so much. I learned so much on that tour, and I have so much more to learn. Like everybody has different specialties, and you might even be a dancer, but this person's a break dancer. So now you want to learn some of that, or, you may be like a singer, but this one's a rapper. Like we all had so many crazy side talents on tour that like it's not far-fetched to say I was literally always learning like every day. It was probably the best environment I think I've been in, when you have 100 people who all know something that you don't, and you can you can kind of like mooch off that a little bit, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure, man. Would you ever want to do more film?
I would love to. I still think like the end goal, like, you know, when you ask at least me, but I would say a lot of stunt performers, it's like, what do you want to do, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
give me your shooting for the stars. Dude, I want to be stunt doubles for the biggest actors. I want to do, you know, all the big Marvel films. I want to do Fast and Furious. I want to do all the Mortal Kombat films. Like, that's what I want to do. I want to be in all the biggest stuff, but still not be known because I'm, you know,
Yeah.
I'm the stunt double for this person, and that's cool with me, man. So that's really like my dream, but I'm also not opposed to just living happy as long as I'm making enough to live, performing shows still, and just being happy. Like I'm okay with that. I can settle with that and still be content and be happy. But it doesn't mean I'm not going to shoot for the stars, you know?
Would you ever want to open up your own stunt school?
I maybe eventually down the line, but it's hard to think about that because I need to learn so much more before I can even like consider that, you know? I would need to get partners. I don't think I can just run that by myself. I need to have people who know stuff I don't, people who are better than stuff that I am. So yeah, I think it's realistic and it's plausible once you hit maybe an age or an experience level where you're like, man, I don't necessarily need to be the workhorse anymore, you know, but I can teach the next generation. Then heck yeah. I'm not opposed because I do like teaching. I just haven't perfected the art yet, you know, like I haven't taught many classes, but I love giving people just a new perspective on thing. And I think I enjoyed that a lot on Scapegoat. Like whenever someone like you would ask, I was always happy to answer. Like, yeah, like this is how I look at it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it works for you.
Dude, I remember trying to be such a sponge, and I was always being very, or I was always very very adamant about making sure that I could watch what you were doing if I wasn't, you know, if I wasn't in the scene, obviously, but really paying attention to what you were doing and everything, and why you were doing it, you know, to try and learn as much as I could with the short time that we had, you know,
right.
Because yeah, all of that stuff is very intriguing to me, and it's all part of the business. You know what I mean? It's all part of it.
Exactly.
And I always like to try and know as much as I can, not because I want to be a know-it-all, but just because I'm a nerd and I like to learn as much as I can.
Yeah, I think the two biggest reasons for me is, I mean, you said my first one, like I love it. Like I'm a nerd for it. I want more. You know, I want to like consume it almost. And then the second one, man, it's just learning opportunities. Like why not make yourself more marketable? You know,
dude, exactly. Right there,
like,
it opens more doors for you.
Mm-hmm. Like I think the one thing like realistically I just like never do is singing. I'm just not a good singer. I haven't ever trained for it, and it might be a little too late to start now. But anything
Never
else,
too late.
like, hey, you know what, man? That's true. That's true.
It's never too
And
late.
my lady is a great singer, so maybe I could take some tips from her then.
There you go.
But yeah, like I got the dance background, you know, I've done years of acting and I have more years of stunt work. So like all this stuff can really come in handy if I just keep brushing up on it, you know.
Have you taken acting classes before?
Yeah. So I actually before stunt school, I took a year of acting at LCC, and I was going to continue and finish the program there. But man, I think once I came back from stunt school, I was just so jazzed to try to get into work, you know, that I was like, it's kind of hard to stay in school right now because I just want to get out there and do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did drop classes. But I loved it there. You know, I was a great student there, 4-pointed everything because I wanted to learn, you know.
Woohoo, Mr. Brainiac.
Even one of those classes was a math class. So yeah.
But you know what though, man, you should get in touch with Chris Newman. He's a teacher at Rich Katteri's acting studio.
Okay.
And that's kind of where I started. He has acting for film 1 and acting for film 2. Acting for film 1 gets you, that's what it teaches you basically the technique of like character breakdown, but also what to do when you're in the audition room, how to use your nerves for you rather than against you, all that stuff. And then acting for film 2 is, okay, you landed the job. now here's the work after that. And the class is only like once a week, and I don't know if they're doing in studio classes yet, but they were doing them online. But dude, I learned so much in that, and it's not your typical like LCC type environment. It's like a full out just acting studio environment, and it was really good, man. So yeah, you should get in touch with him and just kind of just ask him some questions. And he's a very open person, and he's always willing to share some information if he can. So
all right, yeah, Rich Newman, right?
Yep, Chris
Cool.
Newman, and I can connect you guys too, if you want. But so how do you keep a positive mindset throughout everything?
Man, not everybody is out to get you. Like I know this business is competitive.
Yeah.
And at points like you might like almost be a little fake, you're really proud that your friend got this job, but you're like, I should have got that, or something. But
hey, good job.
Yeah, and everyone feels that once or twice, but people don't feel it as much as you think.
Yeah.
Like I really do believe that there are a lot more people out there trying to help you than people who are not. Yeah. And this business gets that frame sometimes of like, you got to step on toes, you gotta make it, and it's like, I guess you can do it that way, but why not do it the way where you're not burning bridges, you're making more connections, and you're being marketable, and now you're the guy to call. If I'm going to be on something like, hey, you got a team of 5 people and they all fit this description, I can be like, yes, and just name that 5 people that I trust and who fit the description, bring them in, and now I got my friends work, and then they're going to feel cool about that, and now they're going to try to get me something. So I really think like it's a community, man. Use it as a community.
Yeah, dude, that's really, really well said. I think a lot of people do have that misconception of, well, I got to look out for myself, and it's just me, and I got to do everything for me. No. Like, gratitude reciprocates, and it's one of those things that, if I can help get some of my friends work, it's not in the hope that, like, for me, it's not in the hope that, or no, I'm sorry, I should rephrase that. It's not in the expectation that they will get me work later.
Yeah.
But if they do, sweet, thank you.
Yeah.
But I'm doing this because I want to work with people that I trust, work with people that I enjoy working with, and that I know will do a good job. Yep. And inevitably that turns into work for yourself later on. And yeah, man, it is one of those things where I hope things don't have to necessarily be so cutthroat anymore.
Yeah.
Because really, like, because I will say, I've had moments where I've seen people get work, or if I've seen, people get jobs, and I'm like, man, like, how that, like I'm happy for them, but come on, man, like I need some work too. But that was so, like, I ended up just defeating myself. And so I got to the point where now, like, I see some of my friends getting work, and I'm like, man, you guys just killed it. Like, that gets me hype. That gets me excited. And it pushes me to want to be better for my, for any work that I do. And, and that's the thing, is, so then I like to share that stuff. I like to share those projects of some of my friends, or I'll shoot them a text, say, hey, I just saw this, like, you killed it. Great job.
Right.
Because I genuinely care about them. I'm not trying, there's no angle. I'm not trying to weasel my way into anything. Like, I genuinely am happy for you, and I know you're going to do well. You know what I mean? So
yeah, man, it seriously, it really is. It's a community. So just be a part of it, and try to use it as such. I don't know. I love it. I go back to what I was saying with when I was at Marvel. Like, I love that I could learn something new every day. And when I actually like learned something and achieved it after so long, that was the biggest win right there. Like, each win became like the biggest win of my life, because we would do something new that maybe I couldn't do, but 10 other people on tour could do. But the day I did it, everyone was jumping up and cheering. Like, I remember we had this guy named Michael Kyle on tour. He's one of the best like just ever. That's the best way to describe him. He's just one of the best ever. And all he does, man, is he just learns. He's the real epitome of like a sponge, and he learns so many talents on tour. And one of them was like just getting a simple like back walkover, right? So he gets down on his back bend, and like we interrupt our morning meeting like for the job to like have this guy get his back walkover. And when he freaking like kicks over and lands it, eruption. Like it's early in the morning, right? And like half the people, we haven't even had our coffee yet, but like he hits that and we just jump up because that's it. We were just genuinely like happy for him. And it wasn't anything of like, oh, I can't do that. It was just like, dude, this guy won today. You know, we saw him fall on his face 45 times, but now he won't. And it's just so genuinely happy for him. And I do the same thing as you, man. When other people, like other friends of mine, have something, it just doesn't make me jealous anymore. It just gets me juiced. Because especially nowadays, right? You know, when maybe the work is a little bit thin, the fact that people are still hustling and finding it, like, really means that you can't too.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, you're right. And it shows you that you can do that as well.
Yep.
You know, there are ways that you can do that if you just put yourself out there. That's great, man. Yeah, I love hearing that type of stuff. You know, it's I'm a big believer in leaving your ego at the door, especially when it comes to filming. Leave your ego at the door, because you know, if you let your ego fill up a set, other people start to feel like they gotta, you know, start bringing their ego to surface, and it just it becomes just gross, man. Like it's a creative collaborative experience. Just enjoy that. Well, hey man, before I end every show, I always do a segment called The Goods to pick your brain a little bit. So let's get into it.
For sure.
Number one, what is your favorite Marvel character and why?
Iron Fist. No, I'm just kidding. It's actually not. My favorite Marvel character is Thor. And that question, you know, it's probably changed a million times across just my short lifespan already. But I've really been drawn to Thor the past, I would say, 10 years. If he wasn't my favorite, he was always like top 3. So I could say definitively it is him. And the reason, man, is I think, like, this is going to sound kind of weird. I'm a huge wrestling fan, always am, always will be. And I remember thinking, like, Triple H would be a sweet Thor. And then I heard this Chris Hemsworth guy was Thor. And I was like, who is this guy? Yeah. Watched the movie and was like, oh, shit, he's Thor. Like, he killed it. So I think, like, seeing someone I don't even know play this character, and just everyone loves him as Thor. Like, who doesn't love Chris Hemsworth? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know. That's almost like kind of inspirational to me. But it's just, the character's just flat out cool, man. He's got a hammer that only he can pick up, and Thunder God, and, you know, you have the mythology behind him. And part of my ancestry is Norwegian. Like, you got that Norse side to it. And I know he's a very fantastical version of the mythological being, but still, there's just a lot of connections I have to the character. He's my boy, man.
That's cool, man. Can you think back to a stunt that was your favorite? The favorite one that you've ever done, whether you thought it was the coolest, or whether you thought that the execution was just perfect, whether you thought that it played the best and it was the best looking stunt that you've done for camera or on stage, whatever.
Man, that's rough. I'm gonna say there's 2 that pop into my mind though.
Okay.
And one of them wasn't even on a set or for a show. It was just at school, and it was just practicing. And David Dersh is the guy who worked with Feld. I would almost consider a mentor of mine. He was at all my auditions helping me out. And then when I was on the job with Marvel, he would pop in every now and then and still help us all out. So he's the GOAT, man. But he first popped up at our stunt school to just like kind of look at us and like prospect us. And he's looking all super official. And one of my instructors brings up 3 of us, me one like included, and we get on the lift to do high falls. And my man just keeps pushing that lever. and it just goes higher and higher and higher than any of us have fallen at yet, you know.
Wow.
And that thing stops, and I swear he still tried to get it to go like another 10 feet, but that lift like stops, and I can't say it was exactly 50 feet in the air, but I know for sure it was over 40. And I looked at him and I was like, really? Like, we're doing this? And he was like, look, guys, I'm trying to get you a job right now, and I believe like you guys can do this. So he had that faith in me, man. And I was like, well, what better high fall than a flashy like header, which a header, man, is basically just like that front flip, you know, kind of look and fall, you land on your back. It's like that's a flashy one, man. So I was the first one to go. I was the first person like in my class at stunt school to do like the highest high fall that we could at the school. And I did it, man. And I looked over at Dave Boucher, who runs the school, and he just like, you know, kind of gave me this like approving nod. And I saw David Durst sitting there like watching it, like, oh, it's pretty good. So it was it was like a proving moment.
Yeah.
And it was still like just BA. Plus a high fall from that height, man, is insane. It's always scary, but you just
that's really high.
Go with it. It is, dude. It is super high.
I'd have to get pushed off.
yeah. So that one, and that still might actually just be my favorite, but I think the first time I really nailed my Iron Fist like solo kart sequence in Marvel Universe Live was just this. I was just feeling so ecstatic because I really did like crap the bed a couple times, you know, like especially just learning it at first and not putting in the right character emotions, not putting in the right like kung fu movements and stuff like that. It was just it was a scene that like I could do, but I just wasn't perfecting it. And that like first night where I just felt so good, came backstage and everyone was like, yo, that was sweet. Like you looked good, man. And every hit, you know, touched them just right. And every hit read just right. So yeah, it wasn't just one stunt. It was just a whole like minute and a half of me just running and flipping everywhere, like Assassin's Creed style.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I would say those two are my two favorites, man. They stick out.
Now, is there, do you have any sort of martial art that you implement into your stunts or that you try to implement into your stunts?
Yeah. So I'm actually not quite as experienced as I think I might make myself sound. But I did take, I was at Michigan State for about a semester and a half, and I took karate there the entire time. It was the MSU Karate Club, but the actual art was called like Tong Soo Do. I need to look back into that to see exactly so I don't like misquote it or give misinformation on it. But I just remember like my two like basic forms I learned. You know, I didn't really get anything past like a yellow belt. But I just remember studying these forms. I remember studying the movements of it. And then right away from then, I knew I wanted to get into stunt work. So I was like, how do I evolve this actual traditional martial arts form into presenting for a camera? So, you know, and part of it already worked, you know, like they're focused on like tournaments instead of like fully facing your opponent, it's have your side to them because then it's less for them to hit. And then that works for camera because I'm presenting myself big for the camera. But for the actual person I'm still fighting, it's hard to hit me, right?
Yeah.
So some of it already worked, and then the others were just like, all right, how do I make this block a little bit more flashy, kind of thing. Yeah. So that was probably my biggest one. And then when I was working on Iron Fist, you know, like I told some of the people on tour right away, I was like, hey guys, like I got to play this character who knows supposedly like every form of martial arts. So how do I look cool? Like how do I do it right?
Yeah.
And a couple of the guys and girls on tour like took different things, you know, like one of my buddies, Stefan, even took classes like at Shaolin. Like, so I was working with Wushu, like different style Shaolin Kung Fu. His style was Mantis. So that helped me. I would do like more like Mantis moves. Again, I don't claim to be a practitioner of that martial art, but I at least like practiced the basics he gave me to implement it into my show and at least look like Iron Fist knew what he was doing.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah, so
it's cool to be able to adopt some moves from different martial arts and put that into your performance and have it be believable. And because I mean I've seen you do some, I would have never guessed. I would have thought that you have studied at least any form of martial arts or karate or whatever for years, just
Yeah.
from the stunt work that we did.
Oh, well, thank
So
you.
so you sell it really well, you poser. No,
Right, you
I'm just
fraud.
kidding.
Yeah, it's just it's a cherry picked style. If I'm really being honest,
Yeah,
but I think if it at least sells what I'm trying to go for, then it works, right?
yeah, exactly.
So, and I'm always down to learn more. I know on tour we were practicing kicks all the time, so I'm learning from my buddy like how to do like a correct kick, and he's a Taekwondo like master. He owns his own dojo up in Maryland, so like I do listen to those people and I do value their opinions, and I'm not trying to just take their self or sorry take their stuff and like sell it. Like I am trying to believe it, and I'm trying to like really make it work for me. But yeah, it is about making yourself marketable, and if learning does that, there's no problem with that.
Yeah. What's funny to me is I remember when we were on Scapegoat, and I just thought of this because I was going to ask you if you knew how to do this, and I was like, wait a minute,
Yep.
yes, he does because we did it. The Jean-Claude Van Damme
Yeah.
kick.
That move was not part of the fight choreography, and you just brought it up. You were like, "You know, be sweet, dude." That like jumping Jean-Claude Van Damme like kick, and I'm like, "Oh, like yeah, like you're talking like basically a tornado kick or like a jumping
like this
crescent kick." And then I just like did it, and you were like, "Yes, sweet." And like Jeff,
yeah, I looked at Jeff and I was like, "Dude, you have to put this in here." He goes, "All right, yeah."
It's in the movie, man. Hell, it's in my stunt reel. So
nice.
Yep.
Okay, well, my last question is, what are some methods that you have adopted, or anything that you use to stay grounded and keep yourself centered?
Yeah, my buddy Ricky said it on tour the best to me, and it's something I think like a lot of us already inherently know. It's almost like it's like embedded in our moral code, but just maybe it was the time he said it, where he said it, or how he put it into words. But he just said, "Each one, teach one." And I don't know why that like resonated with me so well. But I was like hell yeah, that really is what it's about. It's yeah, you want to be the best. It's about you, but it's not about you. It's so like when he said each one teach one, like it was like, all right, each time I learn something, now I can bring that to somebody else and teach that to somebody else. And that works backstage. That works with me teaching someone that I'm working with something, or that works with me on stage and I'm, inspiring a kid to do something else. It literally, it just works at all points in life that I can think of. So yeah, man, I think it kind of helps me like try to be selfless, which is the way to go in my opinion as well. So that one's really big. Another one too, I think with this business, and I'm sure everyone said it, but you can't be scared of rejection. It happens. Is part of it, and everyone's going to take it seriously at least one point in time. I'm not going to act like I didn't get rejected and be like, that's cool. I was like, shit, it sucked, but yeah, you just might not be the exact right fit for something, but it doesn't mean you're not going to be the right fit for something else that really captures your attention even more. Oh, I'm not this character, but then I'm this one for sure. And who knows, that character becomes a franchise character. That character becomes, something you're synonymous with. And now you're huge and you're a famous movie star. So it's, you just got to take it as it comes, but always drive for it as well.
Well, that's great, man. Yeah, dude. I agree with all of that, and I really like the each one teach one. That's really cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I've never heard it like that before. And yeah, that's a good way to put it. But hey, man, I appreciate you being here. It's always good to talk with you, and it's funny because we don't get to see each other often, but whenever we do, it's almost like no time has passed, and that's always great.
Yep.
So yeah, man, I wish you the best of luck, and I hope we can, I hope we can do something soon, and
yes,
and hopefully we can work together again soon too.
Would love to, man. Yeah, I had nothing but a great time working with you. So, and I'm not just blowing smoke up your butt. Like it really was a lot of fun. Like, yeah, you're just you're a good dude. You're very talented. I watched, your techniques of acting as well, just as much as you watched some of my stunt work stuff, and we can both learn from each other, man. Each one teach one, So
yes, definitely. Well, thank you, man.
Of course, thank you, man. Have a good one.
All right, and that wraps this episode of The Good Life. Thank you to Dakota for stopping by, and thank you to all of you who have made it this far and watched it or listened to it and always support me. So we will see you next week.